Hello and welcome back to the podcast. We are on episode 27 and it's going to be super special and exciting because we have our second guest ever, Nate Kane. I thought you were clapping for yourself. Oh, God. Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Nate.
I'm here for good. No.
Replacing our co-host.
Hey, if you guys want it, let me know.
Out of control to start.
Yeah, here we go. And
What? What's going on?
I don't know.
Okay, well, for those of you who may not know, Nate is my uncle, my dad's younger brother, but also kind of grew up together because Nate lived with us for a while when I was young. So he's kind of like a brunkle.
Or a funkle.
I would say a brother uncle more than a fun. No, it's a combination of the three.
There you go.
You definitely act younger than your age. I always think that we are closer in age than you are to dad,
Right.
but still I never realized like how much older you are than me because I feel like you are like a brother. So
Young at heart. Young at heart.
So you kind of grew up with us and, you know, lived with us for a while. And one of the things that Brittany and I have talked about on the podcast is growing up, we were convinced there was a ghost in the house that we grew up in. So to start out, to be a little shady, was that you? Confession time.
It was definitely not.
That's unfortunate to hear. So you can confirm some of these like crazy ghost stories that we always talked about, because when it was Halloween time, I told quite a few stories and Brittany corroborated some of them.
Yeah, I had quite the experiences.
You too. I remember you telling me before, but I thought maybe you were playing into it so that you would scare us, because you were a little troublemaker back in the day. I have some good memories to share. So you were like a young adult, late teen at the time that you lived with us, right?
Yeah.
So
Started living there around 16.
okay. And one of the things I remember is how messy your room always was.
What do you mean? That was clean.
Oh, yeah. So Nate would have piles of clothes in there, which us being young and idiots, we would go knock on the door and ask Nate if we could go looking for change through his piles of clothes. Good times.
Yeah, so it got a little out of control, I could say. I admit it.
You had a bunch of clothes because you would didn't you say you would like take whatever dad didn't want anymore?
So he would get so many free clothes and buy clothes that I would just take some. So I would take his hand-me-downs and like his big, huge fat farm outfits and stuff that I thought would fit me, being like, what it was like 110 pounds at that time, just trying to wear like a 3XL. Fit perfect.
You know what? Baggy clothes are in style now, though. So you were ahead of your time.
I guess you could say that.
And also, didn't you so you took dad's clothes, but you also dyed your hair too to match his, didn't you? 'Cause those were the days, man.
I mean, it grew like that.
Yeah.
As I got older, my hair started turning blonde.
Oh, that's how it usually goes, right?
Yeah, it's like a psychedelic genetic thing to where if one sibling dyes their hair, it kind of
the others just naturally goes that way.
Yeah.
Didn't you? What'd you say? You dyed your eyebrows too?
Yeah. So when I was 12 and went to your dad's first show, my brother, obviously, my cousin John convinced me, going to his show, that not only should I dye my hair, that my brother, your dad, dyes his eyebrows. Being young, I'm like, oh, really? So I want to dye my eyebrows too. Sounds like a perfect idea.
No.
I want to look like twins. Yeah, not the case.
He didn't dye his eyebrows, so you just looked like, hey, you know what, though? That's ahead of the time, too, because everyone bleaches their eyebrows now.
I look like a ferret. I was like an albino ferret that just didn't have the red eyes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have pretty dark hair naturally, so I can imagine that it kind of just probably looked like you didn't have eyebrows.
You couldn't even see my expression if I was excited to be there. It was like, oh, does he like it or no? I'm smiling.
So you were like 12 when all that happened?
Yep. I was 12.
So I was like I was, what, 2?
Like a baby.
Yeah, baby. See, because like I think probably that's why like our experience was a lot different, because I don't really remember. Like I remember some things before, but like I didn't totally understand what was going on, and like you were definitely old enough more to understand what was going on.
Yep, I started understanding it a little more when, reality would hit, when I would start seeing him more on TV and going to shows and all the signatures and crazy people. I'm like, all right, well, this is real.
Yeah, see, like I didn't really know the magnitude of things, but I also like I was more sheltered from it than you, since you were like a little bit older when it was all happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you came to live with us after that, so like you were like 12 when that was happening, and then a little bit later you came and lived with us.
A few years when I was able to leave from being under my mom's care, I moved in with you guys.
Yeah, that's why it's like you kind of were like,
I was pretty much,
brother, dad figure, Brunkle. But I also remember it was your room was like right across the hall from mine. And, the one thing about you were up at all times. I always do if I knocked on your door, you were up.
Oh, yeah.
You had always so much, besides the clothes in your room, snacks, and just there was a fridge and a microwave in there. And I never, like, that to me was the weirdest thing, but also like I thought it was so cool when I was younger. I'm like, oh, his microwave's in there.
I'm staying ahead of my time,
I guess so. Well, that was like basically your dorm room, I guess you could say. Like,
yeah, I was in college when I was there.
You treated it. You treated it that way. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, let me just heat up some noodles next to my bed.
Some ramen, pop in some popcorn, watch a movie with my late night Walmart trips.
Yeah, you did used to do that a lot.
So I would get these spikes of randomness where I would literally be like, it'd be late, and I'd be like, tell my friend Nemo, hey, let's go to Myers, or let's go to Walmart, and I want to get something. He's like, what do you want to get?
I don't know. The store will tell me.
No, but when we get there, I'm gonna find something, and I'd come home with like coffee table, couch, like that microwave, a fridge.
You set up a whole like living room in your room. I remember that. And also in your closet, you turned it into like a DJ space too, didn't you?
Hey, you got to have fun even when you're not going out.
I guess so.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. They have a thing like that's similar to Omegle. And
like
it was
the online chat thing.
Yeah, so it was like a face-to-face chat with a bunch of people, and I would just I'd go in there with random strangers, but I'd also have like some of my close friends, one of my friend Chris and stuff like that, go in there, and I would play music and be the DJ, because sometimes they would have somebody just playing a radio. So I was like, I'm going to close off the space and I'm going to try to be the entertainment. So I would go in there, set everything up, close the door, try to move some of my clothes out of the way.
Yeah, they were all
and I would literally play some music, and I was in my 20s. I wasn't a teenager at this time.
Oh, okay.
I can clarify that. I was not a teenager. I was like, 23, 24. Probably 22. And I would, if I couldn't go out to the bar, I would join that chat, play the music, and me and a friend would drink and pretend we were in a club.
Wow, sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, I like to have fun.
Yeah, I never really knew that was in there. Like I knew, like we would always want to go hang out in there, but then we were like, you know, we were so young. So
like what the hell is that?
Yeah, I'm like, what is he doing in the in the closet? But
it was a party.
Apparently, that I didn't know
We
about.
just didn't have a bouncer.
Yeah. Well, all the animals would also get into your room.
Oh yeah.
Remember that debacle? We had some like dogs that would get in there because everybody in the house apparently knew that was the room where all the snacks were.
Oh yeah. I mean, it went from my friend Nemo eating all the easy cheese and raiding the cabinet all the time where all the snacks were.
We did that too.
So I would hoard them in my room late after the bar or just staying up, couldn't sleep after playing video games or something. And I knew you guys were up, you were going to try to come in there and steal some snacks because there is none because I took them all.
Yeah, those were the days. But I was thinking for this episode, we've never had a guy's perspective on some of these pop culture shady things we talk about. So I was going to kind of treat it like you're the co-host, as you said in the beginning.
Here we go.
And go through some of the things that happened last week. And then I'll ask you some stuff like based on what's going on.
What's going on?
So, first and foremost, did you see that Paris Hilton, who was like, you know, pop princess of your time, just had a baby via surrogate at 41 years old? So, you have kids too.
I do have kids. I have 3.
And how old were you when you had kids?
Around 24, 25.
So, do you feel like you wish you were any younger or older when you had kids?
No, I'm at a content age. Having kids at that age, I think that's still like a great age. Unless you don't want kids.
Yeah.
Then I mean, if you want to be that old parent that's not fun, you know me. Like I said, I'm young at heart, and I want to be able to share my experiences with my kids. And I didn't have a father, so it'd be nice to be that father to them that I didn't have.
Well, you definitely are. Like I would say that that's one thing like about you that I was, when we were growing up, like I said, like you were always like the older brother, kind of like a little troublemaker, you know.
I balanced it.
Yeah, but well, never to us. Like obviously we always got along, but I always was kind of like, you know, you were like, you would get in trouble. And, you know, I was like a little nervous for like if you ever had kids or anything. Like, not that I was concerned, but just when you had kids, I was like, wow, like you totally changed, like turned everything around. We're like so serious about your kids.
Oh man, I was a party animal, going to the
that's kind of what I mean.
7 days a week, every week, getting 4 hours of sleep. I was living the life. So having kids wasn't in the card for me at that point. And then, you know, trying to have a career and just not being able to focus on that.
Yeah. No, I definitely was like, once you had kids and you, like, I saw how good you were with your kids, I was like, wow, you know what? But it's kind of like the same thing with dad. Like a lot of people were like concerned that he wasn't going to be like a good dad or something. And then,
oh yeah, I mean, going off of lyrics and everything, I could see that.
But here we are, and like, not only did you also turn out good, but
hey, he was the best role model I could have had to help me be the dad that I am today.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool too, because like something I always appreciated was like, dad was kind of young when he had me, and like mom too, and I remember when I was little, which you probably remember this too, I always played with baby dolls. Like I was obsessed. Like I thought they were real. Like I wanted to like have a baby. And I always would be like, I'm going to have kids when I'm 20, which like clearly that didn't happen.
Just don't throw your babies in the fan and cuss.
You would always say that to me. I'm going to throw your babies in the fan and cuss. Like, no, you're not. Oh gosh. Yeah. We're not doing that with our babies, but
it's not.
I always was like, oh yeah, 20 is like a good age and good age to have kids. Obviously, I look back now and I'm like, when I was 20, oh my God. But like, I was also in school and stuff, but still, I can't imagine having had a kid at that point. So, but it is cool when you're a younger parent, I think, because you get like a friendship a little bit too with your kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I always did appreciate that.
You just got to always balance that friendship and that parenting so they know the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's good. I think, like you said, you feel like you did everything right. Like you wouldn't have done it any differently because it worked out for you guys. But also, this is kind of a random fact with the Paris Hilton thing, going back to her. She apparently revealed the Olympics logo, which you thought...
I thought that was fake, and I thought it was a meme because I see stuff all the time, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not real. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure about this either, but supposedly it's because, like, it's in Paris, so, like, Paris and Paris.
Bringing it up about memes and things I didn't believe. Did you see that there was an airplane that someone took a video of flying in the air next to another one, and it was supposedly Drake's airplane with a Lamborghini strapped to the top?
No.
Did you not see that?
No.
So I just seen this the other day, and I'm like, everyone's like talking about it, and they're like, there's no way that's real. It's green screened, and it looks pretty real. It looks like there's some really good straps, but you would think with that altitude and that speed, there's no way. And they usually put that stuff in cargo. So
yeah, like wouldn't it be inside the plane? I mean, unless like you would also have to have like an Air Force One size plane to fit a car in, probably.
It looks like some pretty good CGI.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'll have to look it up. Well, that actually reminds me, I was going to ask you about this, but I kind of forgot. We talk like a lot about AI and technology on here because actually, too, I just went and saw that movie, Megan.
I did not see that yet. I want to see that. I'm a huge fan, I'm sure you remember, of Chucky.
Yeah.
Chucky's always been my thing, even though your dad tortured me with it as a kid when I was a baby.
To scare you with it?
5 or 6, yeah. He messed with me.
Yeah.
But now I love it. I love Chucky.
We would watch scary movies, too, when we were younger and, like, probably shouldn't have. And I vividly remember being so terrified of Chucky. But this was like that, but like a modern day version.
Well, it was PG-13, so.
The Megan was?
Yeah. Wasn't it PG-13?
Was it? There was like some gore in it.
Was it?
Yeah. It was pretty good, though, I will say. But there were some parts that were like oddly funny. And I'm like, am I supposed to be laughing right now? Because like,
there's so many movies that do that where they're trying to be serious or scary and you laugh and you're just like,
yeah, like I was like, is this supposed to be?
Am I supposed to do that?
Yeah, like, is this a joke?
Or if you're in the theater and you do it and you're like, oh, I just ruined it for them.
They were actually scared.
Yeah.
No, but I thought it was good. But we were talking about this last week that Google like fired a guy because he came out saying that they developed AI that was a sentient being, which was like self-aware. So it like had feelings and was like thinking it was a person. And so me and Britt always are like, do you ever think robots are going to like take over? Like what's going on with all this AI?
That is pretty crazy to think about because I just seen too, they have a McDonald's. It's actually all robotic where it dispenses out the meals, and they got this little robot that travels over and delivers your food and stuff. It's like a whole robotic experience.
What?
Yeah.
So, because that's another thing we talked about. So, did you see the Chat GPT thing? So it's AI, and you can go on it online. You like register, and you can type in any prompt that you want it to do, and it will do it. So you can say like, write me a 5-page essay on whatever topic you want. Right away it does it. You can say like, write me a formula to solve this problem. It will do it. And it's just like based on like AI that it gets information from the internet, pulls it all together to answer your questions.
So crazy. And
so I'm like, we are not far off from this Megan situation here. And
we aren't.
You always send me like the newest technology stuff, like that McDonald's thing you were talking about.
Technology.
Yeah, and it's like it's so cool in so many ways, but then sometimes I'm like, are we going too far here? Like, what's going on?
Right. What's going to happen next?
Yeah, no.
It's like a zombie apocalypse.
No, seriously, but robots.
Right. Robot apocalypse. Robocalypse.
Really? That's the title of the episode. Also, though, going back to things that happened this week, the show came out, and I don't know if you saw this, but it's called MILF Manor on TLC.
Got my attention.
And you're grounded. Ashley's not going to like that. No, so these moms go on the show, and they're obviously like all a little bit older. They go on the show. They think they're going to be dating people that are younger, and they are, but it turns out it's all their sons. So they're watching.
All right.
Yeah, they're watching their sons date other moms their age. And it's very like controversial because they also have a lot of exercises that are like probably going a little too far that like a parent wouldn't want to go with their kid.
Seems a little weird.
Yeah, I don't
think I'd watch that.
It's going viral though because it's just so absurd.
So strange.
Yeah, one of the moms actually just saw it. So I haven't watched it either, but I've seen people reacting to it. And the last clip I just saw, they all like wrote out their secrets, their deepest secrets, and the parents and kids had to guess which ones were their kids and which ones was their moms. And the one mom confessed that she had hooked up with her son's best friend on the show. And so like how traumatic.
What in the world?
This kid just starts like getting so upset at his mom, and people are like, are you forgetting that like so many Americans are watching this show right now, and like also the other people in the room? Like this poor kid was just so shocked. But
I can imagine that.
It kind of got me thinking, your kids, what are you gonna do when they start dating? Because that's gonna be not too far away.
Oh, Liam, you got a MILF. Good job, buddy. No.
Really?
Get him, Tiger. No, I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah,
I got a teenage daughter right now, and I'm not even trying to think about that right now. Oh man.
Yeah, well, I think it's the better approach is probably don't ever tell them not to do it, because then they'll want to do it more, which I think you can attest to.
Yep, I can attest to that. I've definitely been guilty on multiple occasions of that.
Yeah, I also saw on TikTok, maybe this is
I didn't.
Right, of course. I think this is a strategy maybe you could use. I saw this mom say this. She never tells her daughter that she can't date somebody, but she'll say that you have to go on so many double dates with this person and her husband. Mm-hmm. And if they can make it past like so many double dates, then they can like be together. And it never works out because the person doesn't stick around long enough to get through the double dates.
I can't see that.
But maybe that's a strategy.
That is definitely... That's a strategy, huh?
It's kind of, though, like the same thing as the MILF thing. You don't really want to watch your kids date people.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
It'd be kind of
weird. It's a little uncomfortable.
So all in all, I don't really know if that's a good concept for a show.
You'd be judging the whole entire time. Hey, why are you grabbing his hand? Hey, what are you doing there?
Don't touch, don't look, don't do anything.
What's going on? The eyes are up there.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, the show is kind of weird, and don't really know, what that was the best idea for a show. But also kind of going back to things that we've talked about on the podcast before, might be nice to get another opinion on. Did you hear, so Tom Brady, which again, listeners are probably like, really? We're bringing this guy up again?
Here we go.
But so he got divorced from Giselle, which is like why we started talking about him in the first place. And then now he just recently came up again. I brought up Deflategate on here. Which I was like, is this controversy? Like, is this a hot topic?
It was a while ago. I don't feel like it is anymore, but I don't feel like he did it. I don't feel like he deflated it.
I don't know. He did get in trouble, and that's like what I brought up on the podcast. I was like,
that was just his greatness.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what, so like Brittany was sitting here being like, he's the GOAT, he's this. And I was like,
You can't deflate greatness.
I was really? I was like, well, there was that one thing, like, and she was like, no, don't bring it up. But apparently him and Giselle got divorced, but he just came back up in the news. It wasn't me, because they're still building their $17 million mansion that they were building in Miami. He's still building it, even though like she's not gonna live there with him. And I thought to myself, because I don't know if you heard this and we talked about this on here, but Shakira, recently single, is moving to Miami. And I was like, what if her and Tom get together?
I think you're on to something there.
But also it kind of reminded me, because you had a destination wedding in Miami.
Yeah, I did.
Which was a lot of fun, and probably too many mojitos were consumed.
A little bit.
But would you ever move? Because you still live in Michigan.
I do live in Michigan still. I don't think I would move, just because I'm too close with family here. I wouldn't want to be away from all you guys, and kids are close with everybody, and I would hate to take that away from them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said.
And I love, don't get me wrong, I do love being in the tropical climate, but I can't be away from family. But I will vacation a lot.
That's like what I said.
I can do vacations, and I would consider like buying another real estate property in another state and then going there to vacation to, but not living.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. Because it's like, unless we all were like, all right, 1, 2, 3, we're all going to move to the same place.
It's like going up north. We used to go up north.
It's like, unless we all did it at the same time at the same place, I really wouldn't want to do it. I also do, like, as much as I like warm weather, it's nice to get all 4 seasons, but like only for a second of winter.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so you did your thing. You guys do kind of travel a lot for your birthday, which it's coming up.
Yes, it is.
Old. No, I'm just kidding.
What, just old news?
Yeah, old news. Yeah. But you usually go somewhere for your birthday too, which you usually go somewhere warm.
Yep, I usually go to like Miami. Miami's a fun place that I always have a great time at. California. Recently went to Vegas before. Depending on, how the weather is. I like going to Vegas. I like going to Miami, California, places like that.
You're a little bit smarter than me when it comes to that, because when I did my birthday out of town once, and I was like, oh, let's go to Chicago. And it's just as cold.
Oh, yeah. If not colder.
Yeah.
Windy city.
I know. I love Chicago so much, because I don't know if you saw like the second episode. We go to Lollapalooza every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of just has been started with that. And then now, like, any chance I get to go to Chicago, I'm like, I'm going. So that's kind of like, Chicago's my Miami. What Miami is to you, Chicago.
I feel like Chicago's like a little miniature New York. It's like a little miniature New York, because it's so busy and there's a lot of opportunities and things out there.
Yeah, I really like it there. Do you have any places that you haven't traveled that you really want to go?
Everywhere. No.
I know.
I haven't really been much out of the country.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to Mexico for the first time, and I've been to Canada.
Same. I have never been to Europe. So that's
Me
on
either.
my...
It would be nice to go to Europe, Bora Bora, anywhere, like really... I would go anywhere out of country, really.
Yeah. I feel like that's surprising.
I love seeing a lot of that water and different ventures and stuff like that, but not a fan of like too much being in the water.
Oh.
I have a little fear of water.
I don't really like, not water in general, or?
No, just like
the ocean.
Oceans.
Me too.
Ocean is crazy. You don't know what is in there.
I strongly agree. I'm very irrationally terrified of sharks. Irrationally.
Yeah, sharks, you got whales, you got big, huge cruises and boats just disappear in Titanics. Like it's millions and millions of miles down and it just turns completely black, blind fish, stuff with teeth. I'm good.
That was like
and plus at night it's pitch black.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
Yeah, fuck that.
That was kind of like what we were talking about. We talked about how like reptiles were just like not okay with alligators existing.
Touching on the water, do you remember the time that we went to California and we had to go, I think it was like snorkeling. It was me, you, Erica, Elena, and them. And we got in the water and I think Erica was going into a cave or whatnot. And I think you were going to try to go into it. And the second that I got in the water and went to go in the water, I immediately grabbed the boat because seaweed started touching my feet and I thought something was pulling me under or trying to bite me.
Yeah, so we tried to snorkel multiple times and I don't know if you remember this, but I would always choke on the water. Like I could never do it correctly. Yep. And then everyone would get so mad because I'd just be like vomiting the like stuff that I just like swallowed up. But disgusting. But the seaweed thing, yeah, because you just don't know what's in there. And it was like what I was saying with the reptiles and stuff. Like me and Brittany talked about this. I'm like, why are people okay with that these animals just exist? It's like dinosaurs. These are like
baby dinosaurs.
These are like the dinosaurs of the sea, though. Like something that large of a whale exists and like it's just fine.
Unbelievable.
We're just fine with it.
It's like being Pinocchio and just jumping in a whale's mouth. Sounds perfectly normal.
Oh, yeah, no. The sheer size of some of the things out there is very alarming.
And they're still discovering things.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it. I agree with you.
I am good on that. I mean, I'll go jet skiing. I'll go on a boat.
Yeah, but you don't have to go in it. Like
yeah, I'm good on being on top of it, just not in it.
I 100% agree on that. Also, random. You're not going to... You don't really go on TikTok, do you?
I mean... My wife sends me things.
That's how it goes. That's how I do the same thing to Evan. I'm like, here, watch this. He's like, I don't go on TikTok.
Or she'll send me multiple, and I'm like, oh, there's so many here. And then you click it, and then it takes you over to the app, which I like. I have the app, but I just don't ever really go on it.
Yeah, it's a hole you don't really want to get sucked into. So good for you. Stay out of it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, but so there's this girl. She actually is from the University of Miami. I believe that's where she goes to college. She went viral in the last few months and she's just now like going viral again because so she's in college and they did a full kind of like you had your wedding there. They did like a full fake wedding where like literally got a wedding dress, bridesmaid dresses, ice luges, suits, everything, the whole thing. You would have thought it was a real wedding. Just for like a theme of a party and even being like having gone to college, I've never seen anything to that extent. Like the most that were at the frat parties we went to was like a handle of Burnett's on the table. Like here, take your pick, this $5 vodka.
I don't think I've seen anything like that.
And yeah, it was just absolutely wild. I was like very confused, but also it got me thinking, you know, you didn't really go to like college for anything specific, but you did do class. Didn't you do a class for something?
I unfortunately did not get the opportunity to go to college, being, you know, trying to do a career and just not worrying about, you know, schooling first at that point, which I should have never did that. But I ended up getting my GED and I went and took online courses for a sports medicine degree so that I could do personal training. Okay.
And you actually, did you ever do it or was it just for yourself? Because I know you're kind of like into that stuff anyway.
I did it for myself at first because I'd have my spurts where I would be working out and I would get, you know, I'd get big, taking supplements and whatnot from GNC and didn't know really like effects on certain ones, if I'm taking the right ones, if I'm doing too much, what body parts to work out, whatnot, how, you know, your whole body works or whatnot. So I took the online courses, got the books and did all of that and studied up and started personal training for myself and started actually training clients that I would get privately that I knew or came to me without working for a gym.
Okay, so you just like did a couple clients like privately that
I would
just people
I would
you
do
knew.
a few. Yep, I would do a few clients at a time.
What about because I feel like you've done a lot, but have you did you ever take classes for the DJing stuff? Because I know you DJ like on the side still.
So I never really took classes. I know they do take classes and stuff like that, but I literally learned from my friend.
Okay.
Shout out DJ Godfather. No, he actually, because I've always been interested in DJing. So it started when I would go to the clubs all the time. I built up relationships with DJs or whatnot and would hang out in the DJ booth a lot of the times that I would go out. So I would see them transitioning, doing all this spinning and scratching techniques that it always amazed me. And especially when I was drunk, it was super amazing. So
that's how it goes.
So I got into that, and he was one of my close friends that I reached out to ask, I'm getting into, I really love music. Is there a way you could teach me how to work this equipment properly, and what equipment should I transition to learn on first? And he had taught me, and it just kind of took off from there that I really liked it a lot. And knowing that I know a lot of good music and, having fun, being in a lot of club atmospheres, I knew what people would have a good time to, and, going to weddings and whatnot. I learned that and, just kind of ran with it for a little while and was doing private events, grand openings and stuff just to test the waters out. Wasn't sure if I was going to do the club thing or not. So I just
Did you ever do that?
I didn't really do the club thing yet.
Okay.
It was something that I was kind of like on the fence if I wanted to do it or not.
Okay. So back in the day in the closet, it was just like a little makeshift setup.
Yeah. And I don't like to use other people's equipment. And I know like the whole club thing, you kind of got to use some of their equipment if there's more than one DJ that's going to DJ there. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to hook my computer up to theirs because I don't really know theirs. Like, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not like a super pro of like vinyl, doing it vinylly. And a lot of these DJs are incredibly talented and they can do the vinyl thing. I'm more on the digital, which I like technology. That was always more my thing, like a motorized platters and stuff that wasn't vinyl. So that way I can gauge like BPMs or whatnot. Is a lot easier for me to, learn that way than actual vinyl.
So you kind of just like got the gist of it from other people, and then like as you go, you kind of just teach yourself on it.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's what, and I would learn more too, just doing actual events too, smaller events, and then going into doing private events, doing, charities. Because I do a charity for, wounded veterans.
Oh, okay.
All the time. Every year I do it. And I would do grand openings for, stores, dispensaries, different things like that. And it was more like a hobby and testing waters to see, because I always jump into so many things. Because I'm always intrigued by so many things. Can I do this? Can I do that? How many things can I do at once? Doing movies. Let me do music. Let me do this, that.
You randomly did like the movie thing. And I mean, in my opinion, it was pretty good. But, I didn't even know that you like ever really did acting or anything. Besides, I mean, obviously you were in a couple music videos, but.
A few.
But I didn't know that like you could actually act.
So that was something I actually never took any classes for. So that's something I have. My best friend Nemo, obviously, he acts and he's gave me some advice, but that was something that I had to kind of teach myself and put myself in those positions to where I would be in that character for the moment. Like, what would I do? How I would react.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I'm in this position in this person, how would I go about that? Just filling characters out and stuff like that. So I just did what would come natural a few times to see how they reacted and if they liked it, and just kind of took off from there.
Were you ever nervous, like in front of a camera?
Oh, God, yes. When you got multiple cameras on you.
I mean, here, yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm comfortable with cameras now, but it was like you're doing it one-on-one like this. I'm talking to you, but then they're going to replace you, and they're going to put a camera there. So you're not really there. I'm talking to a camera.
Oh, see,
but I can't look directly at the camera though. I got to look beyond
like
it. Yeah, I got to look like beyond it, but not too off. And it was like different camera angles and doing it over and over and over the same scenes, and then sometimes switching up lines or being fed lines like spur of the moment. Here, say this, do this, let's change that. And then once you memorize and do it a little more and more, once you get on set, you feel more comfortable and it just comes like a second nature. But you just gotta, get comfortable with the camera and where you look, angles, whatnot.
Yeah, that was kind of always my hang up, because even with this, like now, obviously I'm used to this, but I was going to do, which I think you already knew this, but I was going to do YouTube, and I've talked about that before on the podcast, but it seemed so intimidating to look a camera dead in the eyes at that time. Like I was like, oh my gosh.
It's AI, it's a robot.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I want to look at this thing. So I kind of always had that, but you did music, like not DJing. You put out some songs, some bangers.
I did.
And so what was that like, and kind of how did that start, and what happened with that?
So I started getting into music writing at a very young age, just, writing on pieces of paper, trying to learn raps and stuff like that until, as I got older and wanted to think about doing it as a career, I had learned from your dad, my brother, on how to do music and how to write formulas, compound syllables, whatnot, and tested it out in the beginning, getting comfortable with my voice. And from there, I started looking around for beats and whatnot, and got comfortable enough with my voice and writing skills that I started recording and getting a feel for songs, that how I would deliver them and how that would formulate to where people would enjoy it. It was never like, I knew there was going to be a comparison. Hey, how does he sound compared to his brother? Does he have the same formula? Does he have the syllables? Is he like a battle rapper? Is he a freestyler? What can he do? Can he compare to that? Is he on that level? Can he be above that? And it was never about that. It was more about just having fun and being able to be around music and do something that other people would enjoy, or enjoy in the club, or enjoy in the car, or that some people could probably relate to, or what I was doing at the time when I was having fun and this and that I wanted to deliver into a song. How could I formulate that? Or if there was something that was a storyline that I could come up with. So I just kind of went into that ordeal, and then was coached in the studio on how to deliver and how to stack vocals and harmonize and things of that nature, to learn that whole aspect and learn a little more on the producing side as well. So I would learn, like, an MPC, it's a drum machine, and I would learn that, try to learn a little bit of the keyboard, how things hook up, and like how to adjust volume and different things and tones on my vocals and all that nature. So that really took off for me and got me really super hyped into that. And that's when I actually...
How old were you?
When I first started getting into it and recording, I was probably, I'd say about 18, 19. And really took off when I recorded my It's Nate Kane. And that's something that I closed myself off and just tried to think of the most craziest stuff that I could rhyme, and would just write a bunch of little things down and try to formulate these. How can I make all these crazy rhyming words into a sentence and form it into a verse that would just show people like, I have this talent. I can do this too, but I don't want to be compared.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then from there, I ended up going into a couple more songs to test the waters, and went into flying out to Florida. And from Florida, I went out and found a management team and got a beat, which is crazy about this beat that I got from Chops when I did this song called Sliding Over.
Yeah, that's our favorite song. That's the one that we make you perform.
Right. So when I did Slide On Over, I bought this beat, right, that I have found online through this website. I already had the chorus and stuff, and I was able to, formulate that whole thing into a fun experience. But to get that beat...
Was it like from SoundCloud or something?
It was, I forgot the name of the website, but it was similar to SoundCloud, and you would just buy these beats, or you contact them, and you could pay for like a certain amount of publishing or whatnot. And I remember when I got that beat, my management team had contacted them. They were like, contacted this Chops guy, and they were like, Nathan really likes this beat. Like, how much do we got to pay? I think it was like $6,000 or something like that, $3,000 to $6,000. And they're like, okay, we got to meet in like, I think it was Chicago or something. And they were like, to get this beat, Chops wants you to give the form of payment in gold coins.
What?
And I'm
like real gold coins?
I'm like, gold coins?
Where the hell are you supposed to get gold coins?
So we had to struggle to try to figure out, how do we get this currency into gold coins and get this? And we were able to. And then it's like, here's $3,000 to $6,000 in gold coins. And
here's a
CD.
CD.
So,
oh my God.
So it turned out to be a really good hit song, which I didn't even know. I had an idea and a vision for it, but I didn't know it was going to be as fun and as big as it did, which I recorded that in Tampa at a studio I believe Rick Ross and Flo Rida have recorded at in Tampa.
Oh, that's cool. Dang, so you were really you were really in it. I never fully knew. I mean, obviously I heard the song, and fun fact, we actually make Nate, whenever we go out, for some of my friends that we've all grown up together, but we will have him perform it. We'll put it on. And one of our friends actually at her wedding gave Nate a microphone, put the song on.
Oh yeah.
And we had him perform it. And it's always so funny because we'll go on YouTube and find it and pull it up and be like, here, play it. So yeah, that's funny. But I didn't really realize how deep you were into it, I guess. Obviously growing up, I went to the studio as well, but I was never fully, and I played guitar and stuff. I had my little musical moment. I still love
You're
music.
multi-talented. Don't discredit yourself.
But I never fully tried to do something with it. And even back in the day, I remember trying to play with the beat machine, and me and one of my friends made a song on the beat machine. Obviously it was fun, and back then it was just it was I wasn't trying to be seriously making music, but I never really tried. But I think my thing was, which kind of said, you're a lot more comfortable, I think, in front of the camera than I ever was. So I think you knew that I tried to do the talent show in 8th grade, and I performed for the adults, and I was like, okay, I can perform for them. They're not going to make fun of me. But when it came time to perform for the kids, I scheduled a tooth surgery because I was so stage fright. But it sounds like you never really got stage fright though.
I did in the beginning. I did when I was comfortable with my music, but it's a little different when you're in front of a bunch of people you don't know, and you know that this whole crowd of people is judging any word and anything that you say.
Right.
Especially being who I am and in the spotlight. I already knew I was going to be criticized, whatnot. So I just had to try to learn to get over that fear and stop worrying about who's judging me, what they're saying, and just get comfortable with my own self and know that they're going to judge regardless, but I need to just be me and let them accept it. If they like me, they don't. Yeah. And just do my thing.
So all that was happening, and then what you kind of like, was it you obviously ended up having kids and like starting a family and kind of settling down.
The way things just kind of fell in line was I had a management team at the time. We had a little falling out, and then, we're on great terms now, but I had a falling out, act rationally at that point, and then I ended up having, kids and a family, and just kind of wanted to be more of a father figure for my kids and not be too much away from them. Yeah. So tried to balance that and find other things that I could probably do to see if I can do something other than music. Yeah.
It seems like regardless what you do, it's always like a hobby of yours, and like you're still going to always kind of
everything always circles around to music. I know it does. I something I just can't stop.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like for all of us in a way, like no matter what, like I still like, even with the podcast, going to Lollapalooza, and like I will always love music. I don't know if I would ever tempt a career in music, but yeah, let me get on there while you DJ. But I feel like that's just like
coming next episode. No,
you know what? You can maybe make my the theme song for the podcast, since we don't have one. So let's put that pressure on.
Thanks.
Also, though, is there any? We usually end the episode with like we read our shady stories. I figured, since you're the guest, is there any? It could be funny, but like a funny shady story that you have.
Actually, so speaking of the Slide On Over song that I did do.
Okay.
I was watching TV a little bit ago, and
like recently,
maybe a few months ago, and I came across, I'm not even lying, a cat litter commercial.
No.
I was starting to be into this commercial until first of all, it's an Arm & Hammer commercial for a cat litter called Slide.
No.
So they ended this commercial, and I shit you not, is just slide on over with Arm & Hammer. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Wait, you have
Can I get some royalties or something?
Wait, Arm & Hammer, call Nate Kane and get his song on this commercial.
Hey, does this stuff make your cat shit? Like, just slide on over
and take a shit in the litter box. Like, you know what? Arm & Hammer, call Nate Kane. This is like the sponsorship of the century. That's hilarious. I really love that. It's also funny just because of like throughout the years of how many like we had cats, and I don't feel like you got along that well with our cats.
Cats are a little shady.
Yeah, they are. Seriously. So. You never got along with them, but that's hilarious. What a great way to...
I cannot ever... I'll say I never can trust a cat.
I told a few cat stories on this podcast before.
Them things are selfish.
Everybody says that.
They care about nobody but themselves.
You heard it here first. Nate is a dog person, not a cat person.
I do love dogs, hands down.
Yeah, you have dogs.
I do have dogs. I have 2.
Same. But that's so funny, man. A cat litter commercial of all things.
Oh, they really got me with that one.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, what a perfect way to end the episode. And thank you for coming on. If there is any questions that I didn't answer, then leave them in the comments. Or if you guys want to see Nate back on the podcast, leave them in the comments. And
smash that like button. Give it a thumbs up.
You know what? You might be hired because I've never done that. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.